Take the screen out and find a clean, flat surface. The floor works well for this job. Your back might hurt by the time you're done, but I think your screen will come out A-OK. There's a channel on one side of the screen, and in that channel is a tubular piece of rubber that looks like this. That's called a spline, and they come in different diameters. So if your old one is no good, you're going to have to replace that, and you're going to have to take the old one to the hardware store to make sure you're getting the right diameter. If this is the original manufactured screen, they started that spline in one of the corners and they wrapped the same spline all the way around the screen door, and it ends in the same corner. So you're going to have to find out where they started that spine and take a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, just make sure it's not a sharp one, and pry up the end of that spline where they started it or where they ended it. Now be careful, if this has not been taken out since it's been manufactured, chances are pretty good that it's just one long piece that wraps all the way around. So when you turn these corners, just be careful you don't rip it when you turn the corner. You want to try to keep it in one piece. And now that the spline is out, you just want to reach up under the front of the screen and just kind of pull it out of there. And just like the spline, try to get it all in one piece without screwing it up, because then you're going to have to like cut pieces out. You just want it all to come out in one piece. And as you're getting this out, check inside the channel and make sure that nothing is staying in there, like dry rotted spline or broken pieces of screen and stuff like that. And there it is, it all came out in one piece, nothing ripped. You can see it's had its better days, but we're going to replace this puppy. There's no real measuring here. We're going to cut off the excess. So you're going to get your new screen and go at about an inch overlap on each side and just kind of cut it an inch past the other side, and I'll show you what we're doing with that in a second. Try to get it kind of like semi-straight. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And just use a pair of scissors to cut off this end here. Right at about an inch or two overlap. Try to keep it straight. More can always be taken off, but you can't put more on, so it's best to cut it well over what you need than under what you need. get one of these for $5 or $10. This is a real cheap one. It's plastic, and I like the cheap one better because you have absolutely no chance of cutting a hole in the screen with this. It's just a cheap piece of plastic. And I actually think the cheap piece of plastic works better than the more expensive metal one. If you slip off the spline, there is a chance that you cut a hole in the screen. Then you're going to have to start all over and go out and buy more screen. So, I mean, it's up to you. This will last a whole lot longer, but I think this works better. Yeah, I'm going to use the old spline because it's not dry rotted. It actually looks pretty darn good. Just start in the corner. Take a flathead screwdriver that's not real sharp. You don't want to use a super thin one because you're liable to put a hole in the spline. And we're starting in this corner here. And I'm just pushing that puppy down in there and getting it started. Just in the corner there. Push it down hard because you don't want it popping out. And now you're going to use the spline tool to push it in all the way down the edge. You're going to have to use a little bit of force with the spline roller. I mean, it's supposed to be in there really tight, so it's not going to just slip in, easily for you. And again, if your spline was all dry rotted and just came out in pieces, go to Ace Hardware, whatever your local hardware store is, Ace or Lowe's or Home Depot, and take the old spline with you, and you'll easily be able to see the difference in diameter. You'll see the one you need. And if you don't, just ask for help. That's what them guys are there for. It's looking good so far, Scooby. I already started this one, but I did do a couple of them where I just took like a 3-inch piece or 4-inch piece and just rounded the corner, and then go to the opposite corner. That was the top right, and go to the bottom left and just take another 4-inch piece and round that corner, and the whole time, and then just do that corner and then the opposite corner, and the whole time I made sure the screen was super tight, and it wound up coming out good when I filled in the rest of the spline. If you do something like that, I mean, it's all good. On this one, I'm taking it like the whole top, one whole top at one time, and rounding this corner and cutting it a little bit past this corner. And now I'm going around this corner here and all the way over here, and I'm going to round this corner and cut it off, and just make sure it's tight top and bottom, and then I'll do side to side. But you have to stay doing opposites if you want to do it that way. There's different ways you can do it. You can experiment with it. I mean, there's no rules to this. So as you're laying the spline down, you can reach up underneath and pull the screen tight. And as you're rolling it in there, just try to keep the screen tight and just hold the spline down in line. And you should be able to keep it really tight and really nice if you do it that way, and then just roll it on in down there. If you push the spline down, a couple inches apart with your fingernail, and just get it in there seated, and then just roll the whole spline as you're pulling the screen tight, it might be a little bit easier for you. Keep on working. I'll show you how to cut off the excess when I get done. cut off the excess, and you're going to need a very sharp utility knife. So you want to lay the utility knife down and push against this edge of the frame while pushing up into, pushing the cutting blade, the point of the cutting blade, into the screen against the frame. And just go ahead and start cutting it right there, and you should get a nice clean cut all the way around. It's a good one. It's hard to say what these guys charge. I've seen as low as $65 a screen. I've seen as high as $150 a screen. Because some guys tack on charges, like gas money and house calls and stuff like that. But minimum after paying for the screening, and if you need a spline, you probably saved about $65. And if you have more to do, that's $65 per screen. So it's going to cost you anywhere from $10 to $20 in material, and probably another $60 to $100 in labor. There you go. I hope I helped you out. Peace, everybody.